Thank you for your time, Minister. My name is Vera Sprothin. I'm a German foreign correspondent. Speaking of perceptions, a couple of months ago you launched a new initiative, which is very interesting, the Building Brand Strategy. I understand there's currently an advertising agency working on a new slogan or a brand image for Australia. Branding experts suggest that it's quite difficult to change a nation's brand image by merely coming up with a slogan. Now, you're spending $20 million on that initiative for 4 years. Do you think that money is wisely spent?
Well, I'm trying to make sure it is wisely spent. I think this is a very important issue for Australia. I agree with you that if you haven't got the image, you can't just spend money on an advertising campaign and hope to change it. None of the evidence supports that view. Australia's in a different position. Australia, where people know of it, where people do know Australia's expertise, have a very high regard for it. Now, whether that's what they haven't got globally is a high regard for our innovation. Yet, we've got 11 Nobel laureates. They haven't got regard for the fact that Australia has been at the leading edge of so many discoveries, not been good at their application till we've tried to address that over recent years. Australia is also a great place to do business, not just to come for a holiday. And Australia punches above its weight in so many different ways. I mean, take the funds management industry, for example. Australia is the 4th largest country with funds under management in the world. And if that's not important for wealth accretion, we're not focusing. It is, because as countries like China, for example, and in Asia deal with their safety net issues, and people actually, in countries that already save a lot, they're going to want bigger returns on those savings. And so the ability to offer that service is an important way forward. We're also world leading in terms of financial instruments such as public-private partnership, infrastructure build, securitisation, for example. Now, does the rest of the world know about it? Not as well as it should. It's also interesting that as the world comes out of the global financial crisis, countries in Asia that are looking to expand their financial services to the extent to which they realise they need international investment are going to be looking much more kindly on a country that got through the global financial crisis without its banking system collapsing or having to be propped up than countries that did. And so Australia is in the position where if financial services is important as the driver of investment, innovative products going forward, we have a big story to tell. We don't have to invent it. We don't have to say we're good at financials. We have to reinforce that message. The same with education services. Why do people come here? Because, as I said in response to our friend from Saudi Arabia, because it provides a quality product. Now, what we've got to do is to reinforce that message. All of the evidence says to us, and the Simon Ansholt, who's supposed to be the global leader in terms of brand identification, actually reinforces the point. Your problem isn't that isn't about your you don't have to invent a reputation. You've got a reputation, you need to promote it better. That's what the exercise is about. And what I would like the world to take is when they see something that says, not I'm made in Australia, but I am Australian, they know it's good. They know it's quality. And a pride in terms of putting that notion forward and reinforcing it on the evidence, not because we merely assert it. That's the exercise in hand. Now, I know nothing about advertising and campaigning and all those sorts of things. I'm happy to leave that to the experts, but that's the mandate that we've given them. It's a clear direction from government. I'll be very interested to see what the product is that emerges.
Okay, my name is George Yan, Phoenix TV Hong Kong broadcaster. And the question is for Minister. And the coal mining negotiation start. Well, there's a BHP rating to sort of made an announcement will be going to 40% up, raise the price. And what is the comment that? And the second question is, you welcome, Australia welcome China company to investing here, but the thing is a lot of China, the largest company, a very worthy company, is owned by government enterprises. So how will your department sense of that? Thank you.
Okay, well, just on the question of price, your question should be directed to the markets, because we'll leave it for the markets to determine what the price is. The government is not going to interfere in terms of market negotiations, and for countries like China that have sought recognition as a market economy, which we were prepared to give, all I say to them in return, act like one. So we won't be interfering in terms of market negotiations. I think we're in the fortunate position, given the demand, not just in China, but in Asia generally. You look at all the infrastructure, you look at the stimulus packages, they've predominantly been around infrastructure. That's why the demand for resources, iron ore, coal, is so high. And where do people turn to first when they're short? They turn to Australia. My only urging to them is they should think long term. Australia is a reliable supplier over the long term. Japan has understood that for many decades. Interestingly, last year, China, Korea and India all entered long-term contracts for gas. And so I hope that trend develops. As for the investment side of it, I said before, investment is a two-way street. We don't fear investment from China or any other country. We welcome it. But like every other country, it will be subject to Foreign Investment Review Board consideration to see whether the national interest test is met. The question of SOEs, sovereign wealth funds in the broader sense, is a matter to be taken account of in consideration. It's not a barrier to the investment, but it's a matter to be taken into account. And I think that we've demonstrated a very open environment in attractiveness for investment. It's now under the portfolio. I welcome that because I think that, I said before, investment is the new form of trade. And the truth is that Australia's growth and prosperity has fundamentally been built around foreign investment. Fortunately, because of a brilliant and far-sighted policy that was entered into in 85 with the superannuation funds, we have demonstrated an ability to grow in a significant way domestic sources of savings. So I think that Australia is in the interesting position going forward, particularly given global demand for our resource base, where there will be a lot of competing interest for investment, not just by private company or public companies and private companies from overseas, but by the sovereign wealth funds as well as the superannuation funds.
Thank you very much, Minister. Unfortunately, that's it for today. I think we all agree that it was an extremely interesting, not only speech, but also the Q&A session was extremely eye-opening. And I would like you to help me thanking the Minister for coming here. And hopefully we can have you again soon. Thank you, Minister.
You've got to sing to me next time.